FM 99.1.
Carnival does be hot and spicy when Calypso is there. Carnival does be bright and gay. Carnival does be sweet and jumpy when the bandmen appear. Everybody jumping away. They will jump and whine and call for more, jumping up to the sweet tempo. All the while the officials breaking in. Trouble is the bandmen and the Calypsonian scranting after Carnival done. And yet still we keep on jamming. Every year we come out playing Calypsonian and the bandman, east, west, north and south. From every part of this island we make our contribution. Don't leave us out. Remember we are the ones who make the jump, who make you jump up and prance. We're in the middle of the carnival. We are the ones keep up the bacchanal. We are the ones who make the jump, make you jump up and prance. Working to make this fun and spring. Greatest summer festivity, and yet we treated Calypsonians and bandmen like dirt.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. We're here today. It's We Are the Ones Wednesday. You hear the drumming in the background? I don't know if you can hear it. You hear the rhythm in the background? Yeah, I got a music man in studio. But guess what? I got a music man in studio. You can see my music man. But before I get to my music man, those of you who are watching me on social media, you like the new set? You like the new set? We are going places, ladies and gentlemen. It's July. It's officially the best month of the year. All kind of wonderful things. Listen here, right? My technician and me go follow this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to We're the Ones. We're the Ones Wednesday on Point FM. I'm your host, Petra Williams, and I'm coming to you from Point FM Studios, and I'm celebrating the best month of the year. Period.
For sure.
Now, there are a couple of housekeeping matters we have to get to. And the first one is, for those of you who are watching We're the Ones, you're looking at our new set. And I want to say thank you. First, I have to big up Menace, because Menace stressed me out and told me I need to change my look. Good afternoon, Dennis Roberts. And then I want to bring up the Creative Juniors. Eric from Brockway Studios. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm hoping that those of you who are watching and you're seeing it can give a feedback on the set, how it looks, so that I know if we have, lifted our game. Yeah, that's the first thing. And the second thing, for every person who's born in July, who's celebrating their birthday, just today, well, today, tomorrow, so the 1st and the 2nd, I want to tell y'all, that we are the best, most loving, most caring, most adoring. Yeah, you realize my birthday in July. Yes. Most endearing, most what?
Mostest.
Most what?
Mostest.
Mostest people. And so, today, on We're the Ones Wednesday, the 1st of July, we are celebrating July people. In fact, guess what? Today is my first round birthday party. And let me tell you how today's special, Gavin. I'm going to tell you about me a little before we talk about you. My mother bought me my first birthday gift already. She called me today and told me to come by her.
Wow.
And I get a new dandan. She said I must wear my dandan to church on Sunday. So I got a lovely dandan. Dennis Roberts, if you're listening, Zara Errol, if you're all listening, the dress is below my knee. Below my knee. I'm very disappointed with that, but otherwise it looks lovely.
What church you go?
So, Bethel Anglican Church.
Okay. Right.
You're coming?
I can try.
So now, and Yvel Charles Jenkins, one of my Facebook sisters and otherwise, she's celebrating her birthday today, so I have to give her a special shout out.
Happy birthday, man. Happy birthday, lady.
Today in studios with me is Mr. Gavin. Gavin, what's your middle name?
Omar. It's
Mr. Gavin Christopher. And when we have people in studio like Gavin and others, it means that we're having special celebrations. Now, Gavin brings a couple of interesting things to the table today. We know he's a musician extraordinaire. I'm sure most of my guests listening would know that. Gavin, what's the name of the lady from Jamaica I need to say howdy to?
Abigail Gardner.
Abigail Gardner from Jamaica. Gavin says to tell you howdy. I have to get it out of the way early. But Gavin, back to Gavin. Gavin is a musician extraordinaire. I don't know how many of you know he's also a teacher extraordinaire.
Yeah.
He smiled. He's an arranger extraordinaire. In fact, Mr. Technician, remember that song I tell you what? Put it on the people, let them know some of Gavin's works, please.
It's special. Give me. I love to feel your body when it's close to mine. When you and I become as one, it sends a thrill through me. When we move to the melody, come on and give it to me, baby. When you walk your ways, you raise my passion. Yes, come on and give it to me, baby. When you walk your ways, I get the instant reaction. You thrill me the way you give it to me. Oh my, 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 my. See where you're walking it, see where you're pumping it, see where you're doing it, see where you're
Bet you, dear radio and social media and web page audience, you didn't know that the arranger for that international tune is our very own Gavin Omar Christopher. And that's the way I wanted to introduce my birthday buddy. Gavin's birthday, born day, is July
The
9th,
1970
something. When you hear me tell you for me own, you're going to win for your own, right? Because we born the same day, a couple hours apart.
Yep.
So we are birthday brethren. But, so Gavin is here with me to begin the rollout of our month by celebrating, not me, I'm just the host, but celebrating Gavin. Gavin, welcome to We're the Ones on Point FM.
Thank you. Petra, it's good to be here. Good to be here in this season of the COVID. You know, it's good to have life and to be close to another birthday. Almost 50-something. Almost 50.
We're one with this 50-something now. You're not 50 yet.
Almost.
Okay. You have a few years left to go. All right. Now, Gavin, tell us about your people. Who are your people? Who are your parents? Where they come from?
I'll tell you about my mother first, because a lot of people, you know, seem to know about my father, but a lot of people don't really know that my mother, where Isilma James is from, IJ. IJ born just 2 doors away from Point FM, right, and just before the corner, just a little after Harmonites Banyard. So I'm half Pointarian. I'm half Pointarian. So
I've never heard that phrase, Pointarian. I'll
So-
hold on to it. Go ahead.
So it's a very close family unit to the Destins.
Mm-hmm.
Destin Papacito was my brother's godfather. So, you know, I'm very, very attached to the Point community. I don't spend enough time, but this is where I'm from.
Okay. So that's your mom. And what did your mom used to do?
Mommy had a store, you know, in just up the road. Just
You know,
at
this Gavin.
Stone-
I don't know if you all seen Gavin,
a
right?
stone
Where the
throw
people
away from
Gavin
Point.
point.
Because we in
up the
Point,
road.
everybody know we in Point.
Which road? Up the road. Newgate Street, North Street, St. John Street.
St. John's and Popestead Street.
Thank you.
Just
What was
to
the
west
store
of
name?
Chaffee. What name now? Popestead House.
Okay, thank you
Popestead
very
House.
much.
So I grew up in this area. I used to be at the Laviscount's house.
On
back in
North
the day,
Street.
On North Street. I
Right.
grew up right there with Craig and Jack. All of us played music together right there. So this is an area, and I lived mostly my life growing up as a child in Villa, Bennett Street, by
Yes.
my aunt. So we used to walk here every day. We used to walk to Alfenis Bakery every day. My cousin and I, Kevin, to buy the hot bread when it just come out. And, Point was an area that we loved. We used to play marble on the corner by teacher that's up the road here. So it was a very, very, very integral part of my growing up, between Villa and Point area.
Okay. And your dad?
Daddy is originally from Dominica. A lot of people never knew that. But he came here at age 4, never went back. So I know more about Dominica than him because I go back to Dominica many times and met relatives and stuff. But he was from the what you call it, bridge. Back in the day, it's called it bridge by Market.
By
area.
Market, yes.
So he was raised with Oscar Mason and that whole.
Oh, he's a
environment.
South Street
Oscar
man.
was South Street. Oscar was like a father figure to him. I think he was introduced to the music. Well, he was socialized through the music through Oscar. He played in Oscar's band as a trumpeter.
I thought your father only wrote.
No, man, he played trumpet, and he's later years, because of the teeth issues, he would have played saxophone, a lot of sax. Yeah, he never was, but I think for him, his first love was music. He really wanted to be a musician, but in those days, you could not really, live as a musician, or full-time musician, so he had to find another means. So he went into business and was quite successful with it. But his first love was always music.
Okay, so his first love was always music, and we know that your brother is also into music. Tell us about growing up in your home where your dad was into music and your mom had her business. How was growing up in that neighborhood environment?
Okay, my first introduction, like really early memory of the music thing, would be hearing a lot of music playing in a particular room in the house, because we lived in that house all our lives. I don't remember living anywhere else in Paradise View. And I would hear him playing a lot of Nat King Cole stuff, or just, records. And then there was this garage sale. This is where the actual involvement or interaction with the instrument came.
Right.
There was a garage sale by some people in the neighborhood, and they had a piano. He bought the piano for us, not for me, but for us, for the children, for the siblings. And so my brother Craig and my older sister Nicole, who a lot of people don't really know.
Right.
A lot of people don't think it's just 2 of us or just 3 of us. My younger sister, but there's actually 4 of us. The 2 eldest siblings started to play the piano with a lady by the name of Miss Cogan. She was from New Zealand.
So they went out for lessons, or Miss Cogan?
She used to live down the road from us, on the main road. Right by Island Inn?
Yes.
There's a house just before the corner of Island Inn. There's a corner just before you reach Island Inn.
Yes.
There's a house just before it. She occupied that house.
Okay, yes, okay.
Or one of those houses there. But they used to walk down there for music lessons on a Saturday morning, and I used to just tag along with them. I wasn't really going, but because, they were going, I would go. And I would listen to them play. I would see them practice, hear them practice. And for some reason, I don't know why, but I could, when they finished practicing, I would go on the piano and kind of mimic what they were playing. And it would sound very close to it. I don't know how I was able to do it, but I guess. And then I remember early hearing my father say, "Hey, that one there, boy, see that one there?" That kind of way. I didn't know what I was doing, but early memory too, I remember it.
So you were not the one that was getting the formal training?
No, I wasn't getting formal training them time. They were getting it, but because I was always a tag along, because Craig is like 5 years older than me, so I was tag along with them, with him and Nikki. But the music just stuck in my head. I could just hear it. For some reason, I could play it back. I remember the song called Indian War Dance. And I could hear them practicing it and go back and play it. Or play it very closely, I don't know. But it was quite amazing to do that, And so as a young child, they realized that I had a little this gift. And then I remember one time too, my cousin having a little guitar. They bought a guitar for him in the house in Villa, and he wasn't really inclined musically. And I didn't know, but I just picked up the guitar and on one string could play a melody. Maybe it was 5, 6 maybe, but could play a melody. And the older cousins, I don't know if you know Ice and Ice from Villa?
Yes, I know Ice.
Ice, right. So in that house, Ice is my first cousin. That's my mother's sister. So I remember them being very, fascinated.
By
But
the
to
fact
me-
that you
by the
could
fact that I
get
could
it.
just play Mary Had a Little Lamb or Jingle Bell or whatever the stuff was. But for me, it was just like easy. And I remember giving it to other older siblings to do, and they couldn't do it.
Okay.
So I guess that was where we kind of saw early that, I had a knack for this thing called music.
Music. All right. So we know that your brother and sister, older brother and sister, siblings were getting formal training. You went along for the ride. While you were doing that, your early schooling, where did you get your early schooling?
I infant school was Miss Francis School.
Oh, you got way back. That's up by fire station.
by fire station.
Okay.
Yeah. So
you remember going to Miss Francis School?
of course, I remember my first day. I remember the car. My father had a yellow Plymouth
Whatever.
AG. 1966 was the license plate number. I remember Aunt Ellie. There was a lady named Aunt Ellie trying to coax me to come out to the car, and I was crying, holding on to my mother, saying I'm not going, and they saying it's okay. I remember going to St. Michael's and being afraid of the nuns that were there at the time.
When you went to St. Michael's School, you were afraid of the nuns?
Yes.
Why?
The big black gown, I couldn't watch sound of music for a long time as a child.
Were they strict disciplinarians? What was
No, it was just something about that big, what do you call it, stuff that they wore.
The habit?
The habit that just freaked me out as a child. So, yeah. Confession is good for the soul.
Okay, Gavin, I hear you. No worries. All right, fine. And then so you went through primary, secondary everything was at St. Michael's? Or after St. Michael's?
No, after St. Michael's, I did a stint at, there's a school called Studio Tutorial. I don't know if you know that. It was a little lady, expat lady, white lady from England called Miss Winborn.
No.
You know where it's history. So a lot of people don't know this. You know where? Okay, we all know where Abbott is.
Yes.
To the east, exactly to the east of Abbott. There's a church there. You remember that? Right where Harriet has her.
Yes,
stuff
I remember.
now?
I remember the church.
Right. So that church was a school back in those days.
Okay.
So a couple of us left from there, from St. Michael's schools. Myself, Sidney Christian, Dwayne Christian, Ivan Nanton, Leslie Nanton, Roderick Heath, and Colin.
I recognize some of those names.
Yeah, of course. So we all went.
Yes, me around the same age. You see, you so old in music that I forget. You so old in music and I feel so young. That, sometimes I think you're twice your age. Forgive me. Carry on.
Yeah, we're getting up there, Petra. Don't worry. But we're batting well. Don't worry.
Sweet story. So you went to that school.
I went to that
Right.
school for a bit, but football was my passion. I wasn't playing music then. I had a lot of in and out.
So you weren't even going to music classes or anything?
No, I had rebelled because, to be honest with you, I detested going to music classes as a child because of the main fact that even though I loved the music, it was taken away from the cartoon time on a Saturday morning. We have to remember back in those days, cartoons only showed on a Saturday morning at 9 o'clock.
On ABS.
On ABS.
That
We
is
didn't
true.
have cartoons all day long.
That
And
is
that
true.
was
That
my
is true.
thing. I was very much into cartoons at the time. And
So you didn't go to music lessons for cartoon?
No, I didn't go till later down. Initially, when I was going with Craig and Nikki, I used to be upset because I couldn't get to stay home to watch cartoons, and we all had to go. So for me, it was not it wasn't something that I enjoyed at all. Until we're talking, right? I'm being honest.
Yes, we're being honest.
I did not enjoy going to music lessons back then because it just took away from my fun as being a child.
So when did you start music lessons?
A little later down, maybe 2 or 3 years after that.
Which should have been about what age do you remember?
I would have been about maybe 9.
Oh man, yeah, you're still in time, man. What you say?
10.
I was expecting to start music about 16, 17.
No, about 9, 10. 9, 10.
Oh,
yeah.
so daddy gave you a little leeway and then said, okay, let's get this going.
Yeah, but no, the music teacher wanted me to start then, but I was just looking around to see what it was like.
So you enjoyed sports?
I love sports, So football was my thing, And back then, when I went to Miss Winborn School, football was it, So we grew up in a neighborhood where our house, our yard was a big yard, and everybody came to that yard to play, Everybody we had.
You were of the type that would take up your ball and go inside if you didn't
No,
get
I
your
was,
plane.
I was never bad-minded.
Oh,
No.
just check it. Just check it. Just check that. Just check it.
Try not to be, but yeah. So football was the thing then, and music was just for me was just something that I could do, and I realized one of my detriments was that because it came very natural to me, I didn't I would not honestly. I went through periods where I didn't give it the right attention because it would just come naturally. It would come very naturally. So sometimes I would feel as if I didn't give it that extra.
So for you doing music, we're gonna come to your extraness just now. So you played. You of course you would have done piano. What else? Back then, as a
Just the piano,
Just
but
the
I taught
piano.
myself other stuff.
So did you do I know in today's time you do your practical exams and your theoretical exams and all that. You had all of those things to go through as well?
Well, I did some of it, and then
You rebel against the rest?
rebelled. I started to rebel again, and then
and this
got back
rebellion.
into it later down in life.
Gavin and this rebellion.
Yeah, I was interested in so many different things.
Like?
A lot of people wouldn't know this, but I am a huge horse racing fan. And horse riding. I ride a lot
You
of
ride horse?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So growing up where I grew up, the horses were passing across by me every day, carrying the tourists, and I would sneak out. I would sneak out and go ride. I went riding just Sunday gone. But this is something that I've done my entire life. I've been very close to horses.
Okay.
And it has been just a natural love for me from ever since I know myself. So I spent a lot of my summers just riding horses. Myself and a good friend, Scott Potter, we would ride a lot growing up.
How did the parents react to you just vanishing to go riding horses?
They didn't know. They would think
Wait a
that
minute,
was
they didn't
home.
know. Where were you?
They would go
Because
to work.
mommy would be in the store.
Right, and daddy gone.
Daddy gone to
Time they
work.
gone, I jump on my bike and I'm down a house until I think they're coming home.
So where are your siblings in all of this?
They're not going to tell me.
There was never any threat that you're supposed to wash
No,
up for anybody.
What I would do, whatever they needed me to do that I didn't do, I would double up when I got back. But before really being able
Which
to.
Scott Potter? Scott that
Scott from
does
the row.
fitness.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Yes, we grew up like twins almost.
Okay.
So basically, he got a horse, and Daddy wasn't going to buy a horse for me. So
Daddy didn't even know you were riding
he
horse,
didn't know.
did he?
They didn't know. They didn't
Okay.
know. But one of my earliest memories was in horse racing. Was one time I remember. Well, he's dead now, so I can say it. But he was supposed to come for me. My father was supposed to come to take me to the track to watch a race. And in those days, horse racing used to be aired live, and we had this live on the radio, and we had this radio on the fridge, and he was supposed to come. Let's say he's supposed to come at 4:00.
If you're uncomfortable, pull up the mic to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Let's say he was supposed to come at 4:00. He didn't come. And I remember sitting down in the kitchen listening to the racing and crying. And he came back the night whenever. And my mother was
He forgot about you.
Yeah, he forgot. My mother had a little hard talk over that. I remember that. But I remember that feeling of being disappointed, And that's when I realized how much I loved the racing.
Your dad, based on our historical records, which we haven't written down properly yet, your dad was integrally involved in our early carnivals and so on, which would have been when you were a child.
Before I was born.
Okay, right. Before you were born in your very young childhood. What do you remember, if anything, of those early days of carnival?
My father, as we know, gave his all to Antigua culture. So our house was filled at any time with people, just people that we didn't know. Growing up as very...
That you didn't know at first, but you eventually got to.
At first, right. And they're the legends who we now celebrate today.
For example?
Sir MacLean. Sir MacLean was always at the house because he was Daddy's... what do you call it? He was
Well,
just-
your father told Antigua's history
through him,
the,
through
the
him.
lyrics that he
Right.
penned,
especially
for
with
McLean.
for the McLean. So I remember when we actually started to know who this man was at the house. It was Nicky and I. Because Nicky and I grew up very close, even more than Craig and I, because even though Craig and I have the same interests, we've always had the same interests because we had that age group difference. My immediate sibling would have been Nicky, so we were always together, and she was very much involved in music.
Okay.
Not really playing, but she loved music. And I remember us seeing Short Shirt come to the house and us hiding behind the chair or hiding behind the stairway. And
Why?
because he was Short Shirt, you know, he was this big legend. Big celebrity, and he's at our house. You know what I mean? And
But
Daddy
your
and
dad is a big legend.
yeah, but we didn't see him like that.
Oh, you
know?
just saw him as
like
dad.
that. Yeah, you know what I
Okay,
mean?
fair enough.
And I remember us looking at hey, Short Shirt, come, and we go and put on a proper shirt or proper pants or put on your shoes because Short Shirt come into the house and you come and say, hey, Junior, how are you? And you rub your head and you feel so good because Short Shirt touch you, you know what I mean? Yeah, it was like that. And it was so many other people that came through. Just everybody came through. And they came through whether they were Clipsonians or mass men or just committee people, and he always had meetings, and I remember him having a specific alcohol case that he would go for and carry outside, and I know a lot of carnival meetings took place on our veranda.
You never listened in, you never went by the window,
No,
remember anything?
No, but I remember growing up, I would see the faces, the John Jarvises, the Judy Labadis, the Reg Knights, and those type of people of the world, you know, that were very much synonymous. The Edie Hill Tiboos, the you know, that I would see come around. And I didn't know them until later down in life. I went, oh, that's who that was. Yeah, I remember that person's come to the house. Yeah, okay. Kind of thing, you know. And these were the people who formatted what we know now as the Greatest Summer Festival.
As a youth, were you and your siblings allowed to be involved in carnival as a youth? Let me rephrase that. As in your youthful days, little days, 10 and under, even maybe 15 and under. By 15 there was stuff to do. 10 and under, were you allowed to participate in carnival events, or you just went along with Dad when he was organizing and managing stuff?
We just went along. We didn't get very integral into the participation of carnival, and I guess that also had to do with having a mother like we had. Who
Explain.
That wouldn't fly with her. You know, the playing mass and so at the time, and that wasn't her thing. I remember us playing mass one year with Goddie Judy, God bless her soul, Judy Labadie. That's my godmother. And I remember her getting us to do something. I can't remember, it was very young, but I remember us being in town and it was something. She would I think my sisters would do the major things.
I remember one of your sisters from Majorettes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but we were never like intricately involved in the
So
whole
Daddy
situation.
would take you along with. I think your poor mother figured that her husband one being consumed. Is that the right choice?
There's a joke in the family that she once said to Craig when Craig was little. Craig was crying apparently, and in the house, and he was probably writing something or doing something, and she said to him, I hope she's not listening, but she said to him, "No worry, no, he not gonna lift you up. You feel your name Clipsonian. You're not a Clipsonian. You know, come. You're not a Clipsonian. Come." You know?
Oh dear.
He was very passionate about the art, and I think we, especially Craig and I, became very passionate about it as well.
From watching
him and from understanding how important that was. My father warned me many times not to get involved in carnival.
After showing you the way?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he became very despondent about the way the culture was going and the people that were involved. He never felt that they had that same drive.
But he left. I mean,
he left the leg.
Jarvis was there for a while.
But I think
so you don't think the baton was? You know what? we're not going to carnival yet.
Okay.
We're skirting it because by nature of who you are and whatever. So after you finished secondary school, what did you do?
Well, I have to tell you about the school days now. I have to tell you about the music in the school days.
My apologies. Tell us about the music in the school
Because
days.
the music in the school days was really the springboard that made me make that decision.
Right.
While being in school, there were two very, God bless their souls, two very instrumental people in my life at the time. Three. But I'll call it two that we all know. Ashby Lewis and William Lewis.
Y'all
the
went to
late
school
great.
together?
No, but when I was in school, they used to come to the house because they were close cousins. They're my father's nephews.
Right.
So
Okay.
they would come to the house with one, a.k.a. Nigel Baptist.
Chicky.
Chikai. They would come to the house and they would
problems.
have
problems.
all these sessions, late night sessions with Daddy, talking music and just politics and world issues and having a ball.
Those you would listen to.
Yeah, I'd be there, and
Okay.
I fell in love with these two guys as my older cousins. They were the coolest men in the world to me. There was just a electrifying vibe about them
Okay.
that I just wanted to be like them. It just so happened that I had the same passion like them, music, and I love football. So the whole world, the whole country knows that these two guys basically were top musicians and
Yes,
top
sure.
football players. Anyway, as an early teenager, I started to play, to go around William especially, because William and I became extra close, and he would show me things and teach me things, and he wanted me as a youngster to come and play in a band with him. So there was a all years night coming up, and I'm going by the old post office there.
Estimated age.
15.
Okay. Good
16.
age. Good age. Mother won't kill you. Go ahead.
No, anyway. So we were practicing to do this all years night gig, and normally the tradition is I go to church on all years night with the family, with mommy.
Yes.
And
that
Willie and
makes
Ashby
sense.
want me to come and play that night. And it was a rough time because I eventually went to do the gig, but it was not.
Excuse me?
I went to do the gig.
And lived where after?
Well, I had to do some gymnastics, but
No. You can't do us like that. You have us. Your mother insisted on you going to church. You chose at the age of 15, 16, which is in the 80s, when mothers in particular don't
I
play
played
with
I
their
played on the
people.
cemetery of my father.
Ah, okay. Well, then tell us what happened then.
Yeah, so I had to do
Okay.
some family gymnastics. But I was given the nod to go do the gig, probably the day before the gig. And I remember that was when I decided, hey, this is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to do this. Then they had a band in school with a gentleman called Conrad Clark. He was my geography teacher.
I know that name.
Yeah, he was a guitar
Slim
player.
fella?
Same fellow.
Yes. I
With
know
some
Mr.
big
Clark.
glasses,
Yes,
Mr. Clark.
I know Mr. Clark, yes.
And he had a band, and he got myself, Craig Laviscount, Ron Hector, and another guy to form a band in the school.
Must be Legends. What was the band called? Legends?
Prophecy.
In
Prophecy.
Jamaica?
The band
So
was
I
called
knew.
Prophecy.
See, I was close.
And we went to, while I was in fourth form, we went to Dominica to record. That was the first time I ever recorded in a studio. And I said,
Record in fourth form?
yeah. And I said, right, in the session, I just knew that this was what I was supposed to be doing. So I didn't have those when you're not sure what you're supposed to be doing with your life. I didn't have that. I just knew that, hey, this is what I'm going to do. It wasn't cool. And let me tell you, back then, being a musician, I remember when I graduated from school, there was another huge fight with my mother because obviously you're supposed to go to state college like your brother and your sister and go into the
Yes.
traditional roles and do what
Well, then
do
do
the safety net, And I was like, Mommy, I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm going to be a musician. I'm going to play in a band.
And her
Play
response?
in a band? You're crazy. I said, I'm going to spend my life with music. So at a very early age, I married music.
And clearly your mother was not happy.
She wasn't happy, but there were points along the way that that gave me validation with her.
Okay.
And I think the first time I really got that validation was when we had lick one shot over there, boo, lick one shot over there, boo, lick one shot over there, boo, somebody scream. Da, 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 da.
That's when you were in Dread and the Ballhead.
Dread and the Ballhead.
So how what year was that?
1995.
Is the
96. Yeah.
Oh.
I remember Petra being in double decker and watching
Rhea. You must have been
Chickistan.
Oh yes, Chicky. Okay,
I was Chicky.
Yes,
that was
yes,
days
yes,
of Chicky.
Yes, that was days of Chicky. Yes,
And I was sitting there and Mommy was in the stand and she didn't really, they were there, she and her friends or whatever, and watching her.
She knew you wrote the song.
Well, she knew I didn't write it. I did the music for it. Yeah.
She knew you did the music for the song.
Yeah, I think so. But the song was just fresh. Nobody really knew who it was or whatever.
What's the name of the song again? Dread and the Ballhead?
All West Indian.
All West Indian. Technicians, if you find that's not on the list I gave you. He's bringing up a new song. Sorry about that. Just go on YouTube and find All West Indian, Dread and the Ballhead.
But I remember tears coming to my eyes right then and saying, wow.
Why?
Because for me, it was, I just look back at all the days that I wasn't supposed to do this and the days that,
you haven't described any roughness to us now for these days that you weren't supposed to do anything. You had one little rough encounter with Mommy when you went to do the Old Year's Net gig. You had a rougher encounter with Mommy when you decided you were not going to do what she expected of her children. Child number 1, child number 2 did the traditional thing, go off to state college and head off to university. And here comes child number 3, finishing secondary school, thankfully, and then just bucking the trend. How did Dad feel about that, though?
I think he accepted it because for him, he had some of those ambitions. He wanted to be a musician as well, but as I told you earlier, he had that.
He had the 4 of you to feed and life to live.
Right. But, and he was able to tread lightly around it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to our first break. Very short one, but we go out to this break sharing with you one of Gavin's and the Dread and the Ballhead's hits, which was arranged by Gavin.
What you want to do for the West Indies team? Antigua, jump up, Antigua, jump up. You love to get, jump up. You love to get, jump up. Jamaica, jump up. Jamaica, jump up. You love to get, jump up. You love to get, jump up. You love West Indies, jump up. You love West Indies, jump up. You want a team for win, jump up. You want a team for win, jump up. Well, if you really want a team for win, when you raise the voices and sing, all the Indian, hey, put up for your honor, hey, wave your voices and raise them up now. Let them know we are proud. We did win the World Cup in 1996, but let me tell you, from now on, plenty and licks come. Lick one shot over it, lick one shot over ya, lick one shot over it, a lick one shot over ya, a lick one shot over it, a lick one shot over ya, a lick one shot over it. Somebody scream! Hey! Ain't got no time to waste. Go up, all of it, all of it, all of it. Talk him up to get. It is the greatest game in the world, and I love it even more than the girl. Just got to have it. Get botanic. Oh, all of it. I want it. I need it. A lot of heroes they pass and gone, but the legacy still live on. All the things done. Hey, put up for your honor. Hey, wave your voices and raise them up loud. Let them know we are proud. We did win the World Cup in 1996, but let me tell you, from now on, plenty of leagues come. Lick one shot over it. Lick one shot over ya. A lick one shot over it. A lick one shot over ya. A lick one shot over it. A lick one shot over ya. A lick one shot over it. Somebody scream!
How many of us remember that song? I'm going to share my very quick memory with Gavin, because Gavin talked about Chickies, right? Because that's where I started my cricket experience.
Oh yeah.
No, that's not true. My cricket experience actually started down in
Andy Roberts.
Roberts.
Okay, you boy. Okay.
Richie Richardson.
I started in Andy Roberts.
Mayfield and Pappy and so.
Right.
Remember, that's where my
Of
cricket
course.
experience started. Down that side, bleachers.
Of course.
And then as I got older, I drifted up to
Same with me.
Chickies, and then of course, we ended up over at Rhea. So that is when all West Indians took on a different life, because when you're like one shot over there, and y'all used to be over in that stand too, playing live sometimes, right?
Oh yeah, we did. We did it.
Wanna rock somewhere? But we're not there yet.
We did.
So yeah, so we're at, ladies and gentlemen, if you've just tuned in, you are of course listening to We're the Ones. It's Wednesday with Petra Williams, and we are celebrating the best month. My favorite things that happens in July, which is my birth month, and we've rolled out today, July 1st, with my brethren birthday fella, Gavin Christopher, Gavin Omar Christopher. We know him to be musician extraordinaire and arranger, and many of you don't know teacher. That's some of the things we're going to look into for him. And he has also represented Antigua on a number of organizations. He has also been, is it Deputy Director of Culture?
Correct.
Deputy Director of Culture. And so we're going through Gavin's history up to now. He says he's almost 50. I'm not buying it, because then it means I'm exactly the same as him. So I'm gonna say we're late 40s, mid 40s, upper middle 40s.
40 something.
Yes. So Gavin has shared with us so far, and we played that song for him at the start, and he's going to continue his story. But I wanted to interject for a moment, because I don't think a lot of people associate you with many of the songs that you would have arranged. So, for example, I know that you would have done a lot of Claudette's early music.
Correct.
And you would have done songs that have gotten international reputation, like We're Gonna Play Passion. We're probably gonna go out with Passion. I love the feel.
I have to tell you a story about Passion, but when you're ready.
That one? Yes. I just wanted people to know what we're thinking of. So, having said that though, Gavin, we are now looking at Gavin's early post-school. He has decided to make music his full-time profession. That's where we're at now.
Correct.
Right. So the training that you would have had would have been training that you would have done on your piano certifications over the years.
Mm-hmm.
The exposure you'd have gotten around the Lewis brothers, being in the band with them and so on. The instruments you would have self-taught yourself. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah, more or less.
And so we're now at this point where you have decided that music is your love and it's going to be your action. Tell us about your early years as a musician, shall we say, professional musician?
Okay, sure.
Yes, early years as that. By the way, just before you mentioned that, at that time, like you mentioned the Lewis brothers and so on, I know your dad had a job in addition to his music and cultural life. Were there a lot of people that we know as musicians and artists who were doing it full time when you decided to step into it?
No, that was why it was so scary for everybody. It was risky.
So you in Antigua, little 268, and knowing that most musicians have music as their first love but second job, why you decided to make it your first job, your only job, in fact?
When I was in fifth form, I got a call from Nina Nanton and asked me to, Nina Nanton and Dr. Heath's wife. Mm-hmm. And they asked me to audition for a piano gig at Halcyon, or the Rex Halcyon. Rex. At the time, they had a restaurant called Claude's Restaurant. Mm-hmm. And I had just won a pageant in Academy called the Fine Arts Review.
Fine Arts Review, is that old?
Yes, because I was the third winner, I think, or something like that. Third or fourth.
Okay.
So basically, long story short, they called me for this potential job. I went, I played, they liked it. I got the 6 nights in a hotel, paying $200 a night, $1,200 a week, an 18-year-old CRX.
No, man, you're making serious money.
I bought a CRX.
So wait, you bought a CRX?
One time.
So your first gig, your first job, see?
So when
you thought of it as a gig.
I saw it as my life. That justified it.
So that was
for
your
me.
job.
That justified for me that if I could do that, I could do more.
So this is $200 a night for how many hours a night?
for 2 or 3 hours a night. So it
For 6
afforded
nights a
me.
week.
Yeah, so it afforded me the whole day to do something else. So to me, it just made logical sense. For me, I was like, so why am I gonna go and do something else? I'm doing something that I love.
Yeah, but other people would go and do a day job, get home from the day job, rest a little, and go to.
Well, I did do that. I did do that. So for a period, for about 3 or 4 months of my life, I worked at Little Switzerland.
3 or 4 months, Gavin.
3 months. 3 months of my
3
life.
months?
I worked at Little Switzerland, trying to fit into that mode.
Making your mother happy.
Yeah, you know, and trying to do the safety thing, and it didn't work.
Why not?
I sold a Rolex in that 3 months.
One single?
I sold. You can work for Little Switzerland for 10 years and never sell a Rolex.
Oh, the Rolex is the top of the line.
Yeah, I sold a Rolex in 3 months, and they called me into. I guess it was luck, maybe. It was a little old lady came, and she was looking to, you know, she wanted to see this thing, and I was like, yeah, she don't want nothing. But she did. She bought it, 12,000 US for it.
Wow.
Yep. And I went
What's the
into
commission and something like that?
yeah. So when you sell a Rolex in that institution, you get the manager call you up, you get a gift and da 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 da. And I passed probation, but then
Of course, if you sell a Rolex, you go pass
passed
probation.
probation. So then one day something happened, but I don't really want to discuss it on here.
Yeah,
'Cause,
fair enough.
But something happened at that institution that really turned me off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to the manager after the thing happened and told him, you know, I'm okay, I'm gonna go back. I don't want the job anymore. And he couldn't believe. He was like, really, you don't want the job? You just sold a Rolex. I was like, yeah, but I'm good. I'm gonna go into my music.
They had
full-time.
plans for you to sell many more Rolexes?
Yeah, they really did. But that wasn't me. And you have to know your calling. And I just went straight full head into music. And then I have a really close friend, Ron Hector, him and I basically just forged into music, and we formed many institutions that we now celebrate as a part of the Antiguan legacy.
No.
Maybe
You
not.
can't do me that. You and Rowan, Rowan Brett is in this one too?
Yep, the
20-something,
25th or the 23rd.
Yes. You see, all these, so I'm the only one that don't play music.
Another
play
July born.
Yeah,
But he's not
July,
Cancerian.
right.
He's not
I realize,
Cancerian.
no.
No.
Remember, I'm celebrating July. I'm not doing
He's
Cancerian.
July-ish.
July.
July-ish.
July, yes.
The back end.
So you and Rowan formed many institutions.
Well, we formed a major institution in the country that sprung off other things, which is LA Crew.
Because I'm waiting. So you're a founding member of LA Crew?
I'm a founding member of LA Crew. LA Crew was founded in my house.
So it was it was Rowan. Go ahead.
So let me explain to you now. Let's go back to the school band, Prophecy.
So we're going back to the school
School
band.
band,
Remind
Prophecy,
us.
right.
Craig Laviscount.
Craig Laviscount, Ron Hector,
Rowan
myself,
Hector. Uh-huh.
were from SJA at the time.
Right.
We were members of Prophecy. And
You went to SJ? Yes, you did. You
Yeah,
said
man.
you won out. Yes, that's true. Go ahead.
So what happened was that after we graduated now, we were full-time musicians. What do? We need to do something, you know.
So all of y'all went into music full time?
All
Or
of us.
y'all-
Craig
all of y'all
Laviscount.
parents sent y'all to do other jobs that y'all didn't do.
Well, you know, they had their ideas of what we should
Because all
do.
y'all come from, listening to the names, y'all come from very industrious
Craig Laviscount,
parents.
Ron Hector,
Yes.
Tim Hector's son.
Yes, Craig Laviscount, John Laviscount.
John
picnic
Laviscount,
from
right.
North
The
Street
three
that
of us
does
grew up
fabrication
musically,
and so,
right.
but also into music.
All of the three of us played a lot of music together.
Tim does no music.
No.
I know he does write.
He's a writer, but I don't
Yes,
think he was a
okay,
player.
just checking.
But what happened was that we went by Taliwa. Taliwa, you know Taliwa, the bass player?
Yes.
Right. We were doing some stuff at his studio. We were doing a song. And the vocalist on that song was Michelle Oscar, Lady Falcon.
Lady Falcon.
So she, myself, Rohan, and Craig formed LA Crew. But we were called 4x4. A lot of people don't know that LA Crew was first called 4x4. So this is before the bike and the Tizzy and Omar Matrin and all of them people.
4x4.
That was the name of the band, 4x4. It was 4 of us. And we used to do gigs. We used to do little gigs. Right?
Listening to you getting $200 a night, that was not no little gigs, even by today's standard. $200. Go ahead.
So, as an 18-year-old, So, basically, what happened was that we needed a name. We didn't think 4x4. We had a song to put out. We didn't think 4x4 was...
Thank you, Father.
a appropriate name. So
I
we're on the
agree.
way. We're on the way to ABS. In those days, ABS was at
Scottsdale?
no in Radio Range Park
Okay.
pasture.
Right. Okay, yes, that's
Right? So we're on the way there driving, and we didn't have a name, and we said, so what we can call ourselves? And my brother was driving, Craig was driving. He said, boy, why you don't name yourself LA Crew, Little Antigua Crew? I said, well, that sounds kind of catchy, yeah. So we went. Kenny Nibs was on the air. We released the song with Kenny, and that was where LA Crew from.
Y'all, any of y'all have that song still?
Tom, you can't remember that.
So, I'm going to check Rowan see if he has that song.
Yeah.
That'd be good to know LA Cruz first.
So that was where LA Crew came, and then Ron left to go to university, and then he had a tragedy with his mom, and he came back, and we just kept it going. And I couldn't do the two because I was playing out every night because I had that gig. So Ron went on with LA Crew, and I, just wished them all the best with it and allowed them to. And then I went into other little bands in the hotels. Lee Williams, I was around 20 now, 20, 21. I met Lee Williams.
No longer scraggly, like a musclish. Yeah.
Started to put on like a weight, and so feel that you arrive well. Anyway, met Lee Williams, started playing in his band, but I learned a lot of standards in Lee Williams' band. I learned to really I learned a lot of repertoire right there. And then I got a call from one Eddie Mello, Tyrone Thomas, and Dalma Boogie George. They called me and told me that that Eric Peters is no longer a member of Vision Band, and they want me to come and play. And I'm like, me? But what?
What do you mean you?
Well, in those days, I wasn't really playing soca too tough. I was playing more of the hotel things, and I was like, wow. I was scared because I knew Vision to be a recording band, and that's a total different thing. But my comfort was that William was around the band.
William Lewis.
William.
Okay.
And William called me and said, "Oi. The man." See the tongue? Hey, oi. Vision call you, go ahead. So
how much were you making between you still had your piano gig? You didn't have your piano gig?
Yeah, I had a piano gig for years and years.
So you
and
still
years.
had your piano gig, and then you had this gig with Lee Williams.
Yeah, so money wasn't an issue. Let's put it that way.
You were comfortable.
Yeah, man, money wasn't an issue. And for me, I remember when Craig came back from university first. He wasn't a lawyer and so then, but he came out and he was working for finance.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call it? Inland revenue.
Inland revenue. Mm-hmm.
Right. I remember making more money than him. I'm like, something not adding up with this. You have a bachelor's degree, and I'm using my talent.
Patience.
But I mean,
patience.
Well, true. But for me, that was like validation in my head.
But while I'm saying patience, though, we're going to talk about the fact that because that's a whole other thing with our music industry. So
yes.
So you were very comfortable.
I was comfortable as a youth man. You know what I mean? Money wasn't an issue. I was able to change cars like regularly and just have fun. I just live it. Nice. From music. I didn't depend on any parent having to help me with anything,
And I want to remind our audience that this is Gavin, who should have been going off to university in the traditional sense, being able to successfully, but because sometimes we all get caught up in thinking that everything hinges on getting that additional, and we're not saying that it is not important,
not at all.
But there are various ways, and that's one of the things that you're able to demonstrate to us today.
Correct.
You were able to use your natural talent coupled with the certification process, rigid training that you would have gone through. How important was the practicing?
Practicing was essential and key. The discipline to sit there behind an instrument or anything that you want to do and do it for hours till you perfect it is critical and crucial. Also, discipline and ambition. You have to be able to see where you want to go and know that you can get there and not be afraid to get there. There are many things that I've wanted to do that in doing it, I'm like, wow, but I said I was going to do it. Look, I'm doing, the wow factor of it happening, like, wait, but I dreamt of doing this, or I I thought, let me tell you something. I played in Burning Flames. I played on stage with Onion one time. He don't even know this. I'm on stage with Onion.
He don't know.
Because he wouldn't realize, Onion wouldn't realize how much I would have adored them.
He didn't realize the value of the value you had of it, but he knew.
Listen,
you were, okay,
as a child watching Burning Flames, I would say, "Wow, I would love to be with that, do that one day." I remember one day playing at Jam
Fun.
No, Lions Den.
Mm-hmm.
Playing. And saying to myself, "Oh, what a joke is this at all? Look, me play Burning Flames."
Reach.
Oh, what? Yeah. You know, or traveling with Onion and Coke. I say, wait, what a joke. Look more with them, man, here. You know, I'm just saying that to say that anything is possible, but you have to put your shovel in and dig.
So you would represent one of those. Sorry.
One second. Before you even say that, I used to set up my bedroom and pretend I'm playing in Burning Flames.
What?
I used to set up my bedroom with pretend keyboards and pretend that I'm playing with Burning Flames. I'm saying that to say that when you
have the songs playing.
Yeah, I'd have a Burning Flames live playing and pretending I'm playing in the band. So I'm just saying that you have to, in order for you to create things, you have to visualize it, and then and then when you visualize, you put in the work, and then you actualize.
So for you, well, in our era, Burning Flames was the thing. But for you, your pinnacle at the time
was Flames.
Flames.
At that point,
yes,
in the 80s and whatever, you know.
Of course.
I was a teenager. You know, they would do everything for us at the time. And I would pretend playing with them. And 10, 15 years after, I got the opportunity to do it. Perfect. You know, so.
And so for all this time, you earned your living from your profession, your musical profession.
Yeah, correct. Yep.
All right. What would be, and we were at the point specifically of you playing with Vision, and you said Vision is a recording band. What does that mean?
So Vision was very involved in the carnival plant. I wasn't, at that time, I didn't know anything about recording. I didn't know anything about creating music. I could play what I heard. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know that they had anything inside in me to come out, you know?
So all this time you were just playing?
I was just playing. I mean,
right.
You could tell me, listen to this song, and I could work it out for you and play it back for you.
Right.
You know, you could give me a song, I could go home, and tomorrow I played for you. Or in an hour, I played for you.
Okay.
I didn't know that there was music living in me.
You said something interesting. You said give you an hour and you'd play it back. So at that time, music score was not the emphasis. You would play it back.
A lot of times we didn't have YouTube and all them things. No, right. You just could go and pull up a score. Mm-hmm. So you have to train your ears to play exactly what it is you're hearing. So those days there were cassettes, and you'd rewind and rewind. Okay, so you learn the intro. Okay, I get the intro, but we play the intro with it properly. Okay, let me hear what they're doing in the verse now. Okay. You get a verse.
Sounds like a lot of work.
It was a lot of work. Tedious hours and hours and hours of practice and perfection. So when you see a musician tell you he want X, oh gosh.
But you just said that now it might have been better.
It's a lot easier now. Now you can go on YouTube and they show you exactly what to do. It show you how to place your fingers and how they use the progressions and how they use inversion and so. Back then you had to listen to that. Listen to it over and over. Sometimes you think you have it, and then somebody has played back for you, and you don't have it right. You have it kind of right. You know, music was, it was very much, or it is very much. It's intense. It can be very intense.
Okay, all right. So now, with that backdrop, and ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to We're the Ones on Point FM, and my guest today is Mr. Gavin Christopher, musician extraordinaire, and we're just at the point where we're now going to switch over to his arranging capabilities, and we're at the point where he has just now joined Vision Band. But just before, do you have the second soca from the set that I sent you, the early one there? If you can go back to it, the band, My Love Will Never Die. You can see that one? Okay, go look again. You just go look at. All right. So just before we go back to, we're trying to find another one of Gavin's arrangements. So you're at Vision Band. Found it? Okay, we're just gonna get this and then we get on to Visual Band.
Saw you last night again in a vision, looking so lovely. Couldn't believe you took my breath away. Love that I'm feeling, I reach out to touch you, and then you were gonna get my friend. I hope we'll be lovers, maybe someday even more than friends. It's the love that I've got. Sparrows fly so high, straight to the mountain top, and there is no turning back. Till the rivers run dry, my love will never trust me. Believe me, it's true. My love will never trust me. Believe me, it's true. My love will never die. My love will never die. Full moon tonight.
So,
again, and I'm
ladies and gentlemen, you like that one? That's another piece arranged by Gavin. I think that was when he was a member of the band. Gavin, that's the right song?
Yeah,
That's
and
the
I
right
want to
band?
say something about those, especially even with that I could never take full credit for these songs because we were a team. Dalton Dyer did a lot of work with us to put these pieces together.
That's We Jam It 1, 2,
Yeah.
and 1. I just, make people know
Of
we're
course,
talking.
Mr. Dyer.
Yeah.
We, especially him and I, during the days of the band, we worked very closely as a team, and we made a lot of magic together. Learned a lot from Dalton. I think music is a learning process. It's always something to know and to do and to do it a different way. One of the things that bankers used to tell me a lot in music was that even if it sounds good, it can always sound better. I want to give you a quick story about that. When we did Mr Ras in Barbados, so we
You recorded it in Barbados?
yeah, we did it in Barbados. So, we finished that day and me and him listening to the album. We at the house listening to the album before we came home. And he said to me, boy, we listening to Mr Ras. And if I tell you Mr Ras right now, you need believe. Craig and him started that in a taxi on the way to, Boatyard.
Yes, I do both.
We were on the way to go Lime Boatyard and they were singing that song. Anyway,
What mean they're singing it? How would they know?
they were just singing they're talking about the situation with Bankers and his wife and his girlfriend at the time. And they were just singing me the Ras, I got married your daughter. Oh yeah.
Yes,
And it didn't it was just that hook.
Oh, okay, they just had the hook.
Just the hook, right?
Okay.
But that day when we were listening to the album, remember I'm saying to you that anything that sounds good can always sound better.
15.
Banker said to me he wasn't comfortable with something, and I was like, what are you talking about? We need to go back to the studio. No, we don't pay the man everything and looking to go Antigua the next day or so. No. And he said me, no, let's call back Nicholas. We need to go studio today. He need to change a line. He didn't sing the line for me, but I'm like, Bankers, yo. Bankers we got to the studio up in Wildy, Barbados well. We went to Wildy and we changed the studio, changed one line. He originally had 3 more days before the wedding bell, and she father kick it. That was the original way.
Okay.
He
Oh,
changed
the
it
melody.
He changed the melody to
So,
3 more days before the wedding bell. I was sitting on it like, shit, yeah, sorry. Oops.
It's okay. It's all right. Go ahead.
I was like, hey, that definitely sounds better. So going back to say, we're talking about arranging now. One of the main things about arranging is that you need to have time and you need to have facilities. In those days, we didn't have facilities
In Antigua.
so we used to have to rush the recordings. So you'd get a lot of times
Because
we
you
would
had
go
to pay
back.
for the studio time.
If you play My Love Again, you can hear I made a mistake in it. I hear it every time I hear the song.
You expect me to know, to find the mistake that you made in
There's
the
a
song.
line. I could hear my hand make a mistake. I played 2 notes. I could hear it. It's only after we recorded the song and we done mix it, master it, put it on the CD, and then listen to it again and say, oh, shoots, look at that. You don't hear my hand hit it. I hit 2 notes.
That was for y'all insiders to know. We are just grooving to the song and singing. Trust me,
But let me tell you something.
it's true. That's it.
Never.
Exactly. That's our job.
But for real, but I'm saying if we had facilities here back then, like how we have now, you could have gone back and say, hey, let me just go across the road and fix that. To fix that would mean to fly on a plane and way, and you know.
So the cost of recording was...
The cost of recording was astronomical then. So we would have to get a lot of sponsorship. We'd go to government ministers, businesses. Look, I remember going to one particular government minister and the man told us, yeah, come. When we there, the man snuck out of the back of his office and have us sitting on there for the next 2 hours. Bankers and I, we've been through a lot. A lot of it was humiliating too, you know, just for your passion.
So you're saying, so you go to sponsors, they promise, they don't deliver. You go to politicians, well, they're sponsors too. You go to people, say people, and they promise and they either leave you hanging or sometimes the little thing that they give you is not worth what they would have given and so on. So why continue to do it? Why did you continue to do it then?
That was a question that we'd always ask ourselves, but we would say that a lot of times we would actually tell ourselves that we're crazy. But
you kept it in.
We kept it in because for us it was never about the fame, the fortune or anything. It was just a love for music, and we had so much music inside of us that wanted to come out that we couldn't sleep with it. So we would just have to get it out.
Did you make money from it?
Unfortunately, we didn't make a lot of money from it.
So you made money playing in the hotel circuit.
That was the lucrative market here. That was the only market that really had any viable options to create income.
So, for example, bankers are not here, but we're going to mind bankers' business. So when bankers won that year with me, the rest, and so on.
A lot of the money just went back into the presentation. And that's what happens, unfortunately. A lot of times you see people...
So what happens for those people that don't win? So the winners make back their money from them because we know presentations in Antigua are elaborate. Yeah. So for the people who don't win, what happened?
The whole, to reenact the whole marriage on stage costs. You know?
So why y'all need to do all of that?
To win the competition. Let me explain something to you. Petra, the first year we had John, when we came up with John and the Ballad, we gave away every single CD. We gave it away. We were so happy to create music and to have a product that the man would say, hey Gavin, boy, I love that song behind the CD. Yeah man. You just go in your car, give him a CD.
Okay, so who was covering that cost?
We were so happy. Doesn't try to tell you, we were so happy.
Did you producing the CD, getting the songs? Well, you guys did most of the lyrics, I'm assuming, and the music.
We did the production, lyrics,
right.
composing.
So you didn't have to pay
for that, no.
For that. That was your sweat. So that was sweat equity.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Then you had to travel to get it recorded. Using the right word?
Yeah.
Right. Mixed, mastered, played, everything and packaged. Right. Who paid for that?
Sponsors.
And it was covered in full. Y'all didn't go in your pocket.
No, yeah. A lot of times bankers and I would go in our pockets, of course.
So when you go into your pocket then, and then you come back and you give it away. Hold on. And then you might win 1 year. You don't win another year. Back then, there weren't as many fetes and gigs and so on. So how did you make your money? How did you make a living? Or it wasn't about making a living? It was just about making music? Was there not an opportunity for a balance?
I would say in 1996 when we came out, we were very enthusiastic about just making music. And we really didn't, and I would say this, and I'm not ashamed to say it, we were so just happy to be a part of the fabric and that we didn't really think business-wise. We were just happy to have a product that people loved, and so we gave it away. For instance, I remember having CDs in my car and people coming to me and say, hey, I have some people in New York that are going to New York Saturday, and I have some people who want a car. You have any? And
okay, $10. $20.
I know. But we learned that after. But the first year we came out, we were just so happy to have that. And, that we listen, I know this. I know people would be like, Gavin, you crazy, but you'd have to be in it to understand.
I'm not saying you're crazy. I am actually asking these questions so that our audience can understand the passion that drove you. I'm not, rest assured, I'm not judging. I just want the audience to understand the passion that drives the artist.
It's very. Listen, it's one of the most rewarding feelings is to walk into a nightclub and hear your music playing. It actually takes you back into the space where you were. You can remember the clothes you were wearing. You can remember the conversations. You can remember the people. You can remember the scent. You can remember the food that was around. Whatever, it brings you right back there to that day or that time when you hear a song that you were a part, like you're instrumentally involved in. You actually go back to that place. It happens to me, and I've spoken to a lot of people that. So for us, we didn't understand the whole business aspect of this thing until later down, till we realized that hey, we have family now, we have mouth to feed, and this is what you do. So
and how did that go?
Oh, that was a serious wake-up call. You know,
Gavin, that was a serious wake-up call. Does not tell us anything about the story.
Oh, you want stories?
We're here to share in your experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to We're the Ones. It's We're the Ones Wednesday. It's July 1, and we celebrate everything July. Yeah, little nosy. Stop watching the time. You have plenty of time.
Okay.
Right. He wants to see how much stories he can cut.
Trying to see how we can cut this into... Because we have a lot to talk about.
So we're talking. No, after this week we're gonna. Don't worry, you have time. We're talking to Gavin Omar Christopher. Many of you would know Gavin from. Most of us would know him from the Dread and the Ballhead and the band. But as he told us just a few minutes ago, he did a stint with Burning Flames. He was part of Vision Band. Did I miss any major bands that you played in? Major. No, he's now a part of
can't remember.
Laku and what's it?
Cutting Edge.
Cutting Edge. He does a lot of solo gigs, but right now we are talking when the music got real, when family came into the picture.
So when you get that call to say that you're going to have a child, the whole thing changed. That's where I got into teaching, because for me,
hold on, no, slow down. You told me when at the start of this that you were making good money in the hotel industry as playing music in the hotels, and then you came home to soca and all of that. So what happened to the money that you were making in the hotels?
After playing in the bands, the hotel thing had to ease off. The gig things, the solo things had to ease off.
Let me see if I get this right. So after you got into the bands where you were making less money,
you
gave up the things that were making the money.
More money, right? Because you're chasing a bigger dream.
Which is what?
I had a dream to play in an international band.
That works. Okay.
Unfortunately, it almost happened.
Unfortunately, it almost happened. Now I need to watch we have time to get that story. So you had this dream. So the hotel circuit was your foot in the door.
Correct.
Then you recognized that the band gave you a new sense of purpose, passion. It inspired your arranging and so on and all of that.
It gave me the identity,
okay,
that I was looking for.
Perfect. So you have all of that. And so now to move to that bigger objective, you gave up the steady, quote unquote.
Right.
You're already non-traditional enough. And then you give up the stability in the non-traditional and
went for to go after something else.
Right. And while in the midst of that, here comes family.
And what happened is that in the midst of that, what we were going after was not properly set up as an institution.
Explain that.
So the way we would have been able to create revenues that would have been sustainable was to have the industry, in the local industry, set up to the point where it could sustain you without being on a stage. So our copyrights, our collecting agencies would have had been in place for the life of us, that has never been able to to.
What are you talking about? Don't we have the intellectual property in place?
Yeah, but we don't have. Yeah, we do, but we don't have that policing agency that.
You know, you're confusing me, right?
I know I'm confusing you, but I'm telling you what.
We
what
don't have the policing agency.
Oh, I think okay, Echo is here.
So
now.
you're talking about Echo,
right?
So there was no Echo in Antigua.
There was nothing to collect the monies that were played on from the airplay.
Okay, so like My Love will never die that we know.
We've never collected any money from any airplay in Antigua.
But you've collected from other places.
From other places. I just the other day, this last year, I collected a check from CUT in Trinidad, but we've never been able to collect money from Antigua. So you have
collected money from other places.
Correct.
But for all the years, all the music that play on radio that we enjoy in fetes and so on, why you need to collect that money? Because are we your people? Are we your friend? Are we your buddy? You're supposed to glad how you listen to your music. Why want money for?
Because we have to eat.
What's that?
We have bills to pay. This is our job.
Who cares? I mean, we care because we want you to make music next year. But and follow. Am I properly representing how? No, the thought
process, of course.
Okay, all right.
So what had happened, Petra, was that, listen, most of your music is played locally,
right?
And you're not making any revenues from it. So.
Yes, you are. They say you make revenues when you play at a fete.
Okay, right. So that is a one-off revenue, but you don't have a continuous revenue stream.
And that you should be proud that and happy in the first place that we actually want to dance to your music in the fete.
So I'm going to go to the gas station and I'm going to ask them for $50 gas and put in $50 gas, and I'm Gavin Christopher, the bald head, and I made My Love. And they dance at it from a fete, and
when you come in the gas station, I can tell you
give me $50 gas, please.
Yeah.
That's what it works.
You can't do that? You must be kidding.
I wish we could. And that's the reality of it. So when you see Echo came here.
But how does that happen in Trinidad? Because you said you collected money from cuts. Sorry to cut you off, but I have to ask you this. You said you collect money from cuts.
Okay, I want to
explain that.
Do you realize that Trinidad doesn't have a buoyant tourism industry like we do here?
Yes, they.
How do the musicians create music year after year after year after year?
The same way I was creating music year after year after year.
They don't have hotels to go to
do gigs. They have lots of fetes and they all make money going to fetes.
Okay, fine. And when the fete season done, how would they feed themselves? They make so much money that they just have enough money for the whole year.
I guess
they are covered. The CUT is making sure
turn to the mic.
CUT is making sure that every quarterly there are proper procedures and records in place that.
So like when the music put on the radio,
that the guys are making the income streams from airplay, from the rotation.
So like just now when I play the clip from your song, if I play the long enough clip, I should pay royalties for that.
Correct.
Point of please pay the man his money. And if making sure I take the blame off me. And if I have a fete and I play your music there,
it should be logged. It should be notated and logged so that they can be the allocations can be properly noted so that it can be dispersed the right way.
But isn't that being fought against vehemently by
even the artists
persons? Here? Right, okay.
Even the very artists here, I hear fighting against the people that are trying to put this in place.
Why are they fighting?
Because they have no clue of what they're doing and they've been influenced by other people, especially promoters in the country that have no understanding of how the industry
Hold
works.
on. Let me defend the promoters. The promoters say that they have a lot of costs that they incur putting on shows. Yes?
Yes, I hear you. And I agree.
The promoters see that.
So then have the show without music. And just have the show with the alcohol and the food and the stage and the lights and no music.
But the promoters are saying that they are doing the artists, the people who write the songs, the arrangers and everybody a favor
by playing their music.
Yes. So
they're going to go to the gas station and sell to Mr. James down there. So Claudette or whoever they're playing is going to say, "Hi, I'm Claudette Peters. My song played at this fete and the promoters doing me a favor. Can you give me $50 gas?"
But the promoter is going to say, but I have Claudette on the show. And so I paid Claudette.
Why is it that Antigua is the only country that does this? That rebels
Is
like
Antigua
this?
the only country?
That I
don't
know.
So what happens in St. Kitts?
You ask them. They have this stuff together.
I think there was a lawsuit the other day that some Echo One. Anyways, that's not what we're the main focus. So you're saying that from the 80s coming forward, especially in the 90s when you guys were really, really, really making. So wait, hold on. I'm changing my own thought midstream. So Burning Flames don't get paid for all the songs in rotation in Antigua?
I can't speak for Burning Flames, but I know.
No, I'm saying if Echo is now coming into being, your songs would have been in rotation the same time Burning Flame songs would have been in rotation in Antigua. The same time Short Shirt songs would have been in rotation in Antigua. Swallow, Upsty, everybody. Are you saying to me that for all the years we've enjoyed all those songs being played on ABS, ZDK, Observer, Vibes, wherever, even now to point that you guys do not, there is not a system in place presently to ensure that there are any benefits at all paid over to the artists?
I can't say presently because I know Echo has stepped up the game, and I'm
Echo has been told to wait.
Okay, so then I can tell you this, that over the years there has not been a proper accounting system in place to protect or to collect on any artists in Antigua's on their behalf.
What do you say? Just one last question on that, because that is not our main thing, but I think I need to bring you back when I have that conversation, because I promised from my show last Monday actually, that we'd have that conversation in more detail. What would you say to persons who would claim that whatever Echo gets, they spend it all on administrative costs and so on, so the artists are not getting enough, so they don't want any part of it unless the artist gets sufficient?
I've heard that argument, and hey, that's for Echo and the artist to deal with.
But you're an artist,
right?
If
So
it comes to now, you'll make money,
right? I don't want to get into that. I want to get into putting the system in place. I don't want to. To me, that's almost like a cop out.
Okay, fair
That
enough.
was almost like a cop out. Like the ones who are promoting that rhetoric is looking to buy time. That's how I see it.
Okay.
Listen, all the variables that they're talking about, it needs to come back down to protecting the intellectual property of the creators of the music. And you cannot sustain an ongoing possibility of creating music if you're not protecting it. So all these variables that they're talking about, and if you don't use Echo, then use somebody else.
Like who?
They have
Cots?
You have Bramsey in Barbados, you have stuff in Jamaica.
But would any of them be interested in to come in?
But all of them are going to still come back down to Echo, because they're going to need Echo to be the policing arm in the region.
So, for example, reggae played now on our radio stations.
Mm-hmm.
Who collects on those rights?
I'm not sure.
So, do you think that those people earn their money from their music being played in our market?
There should be. Let me ask you a question. Like a station like here, are they logging music?
I don't know.
See, those are the questions.
I honestly don't know,
Right,
but you are now prompting me to ask. I know
Well, these
there
are
is a
thi-
system that they're supposed to use to log the music, but I only do talk shows, so I
Right,
don't know.
and I think administratively,
but that's a real
especially
question.
knowing the world boss, I'm sure that all that would have been, in place. But so I really don't know. To be honest with you, I've gotten very despondent. To be honest with you, I will tell you this. It took me a very long time to even join Echo,
Why?
because I didn't think that they were aggressive. I didn't think they were serious. I didn't think that they were.
But how can they get aggressive
That's why.
without support? Because if last 2 minutes on this topic, I promise you.
Okay.
If the regulatory authority, aka the government, is saying we don't think you're ready yet, and we want for you to delay your implementation, and then those who feel that they should not pay are saying, listen, these are the reasons, and then John Public is thinking, okay, this makes sense. And then the artists, whether out of fear or out of ignorance, are not helping Echo. Who's going to help Echo to move the needle forward?
Echo just has to do what they have to do. And I think they were trying to
support them. Are you would you as an artist stand up with Echo to say to the authorities, listen,
I would.
I'm ready now?
I would, but a lot of the artists did not even understand what Echo was trying to do for them.
Okay.
Because I've heard a lot of artists make some really ridiculous claims and statements about Echo,
and
not understanding.
Call them and try to educate them.
The ones around me, the ones that I'm in touch with. Listen, I don't even want to go down that road there.
Hey, everything we're talking here now. Do you have an association that represents artists in Antigua, as far as you're aware of?
So I'm aware. Of it, yes.
There is one?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with with the work that it's been doing so far?
Not really.
Okay, that can live with it, not really. So
but that's a long story.
So then if you're not satisfied with the work that they're doing so far,
why you don't do it?
No. I would never do that to you, Gavin. What do you do to help to move the education process along, at least?
I have come to understand one thing in this country. Living here for 40-something years.
The late 40s.
Yeah. I've learned to allow it to I realize people here are moved when it actually starts to affect them, when they see how it affects them personally. And
but it affected you from the 90s when you were ready to
and we've tried. Myself and One Hector have approached many bands and artists in this country to form associations in the 90s, in the 2000s, and every time we tried it, at least 3 times, we just can't garner the support because people here are very afraid to be organized. They're afraid of victimization. They're afraid of being ostracized. They're afraid of their own self. And we're trying to tell them, hey guys, and no, I live to see that they have a jam band association, which we tried to form years ago, and I'm so happy for it.
Is it working?
I don't know. I'm not a part of it, but I don't know.
Why not?
I'm not a jam band. I'm a musician.
Okay,
but
fair enough.
But I'm so happy that they started that, because associations need to be formed. All sorts of different associations need to be formed, because that's the way you move. That's the way you garner support, by having people come together on a collective agreement, or whatever you want to call it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So my thing is, I welcome all the associations that come forward to move the music business forward, because I am a product of that not being in place when we were in our heyday, so to speak.
And the product that you are a part of, when you say that, because we segued into this very important discussion just about the time when we were discussing that you were at the family stage. So you were at the family stage, having gone away into the band and playing for Carnival and doing all of that thing. So you're no longer having that stability of income, 1. 2, stability of regular income, 1. 2, the liquor that you're making, you're putting it directly back into recreating, right. And you have a family. And
my father watching me like,
Let me tell you so.
I see that look. I saw that look for years. Like,
he didn't say anything?
He would actually tell me he's worried for me. He would actually tell me that, because then a lot of energies would be spent in how do you survive? How do you eat now? Because things are starting to change. Do I go back to what I know, playing in hotels? I don't feel fulfilled doing that, but I could do it, and it would be able to pay Isaiah's school fee. But would I feel fulfilled doing it? No. So how do you bridge that gap? Because you have a tune in your head that you want Lego next year Carnival. But do I spend the time learning some more standards and going back and sit down at the piano and entertain the folks, the tourists, or do you make people jump up and win another title?
So what did you choose?
I chose to make people jump up and win another title.
Yeah. You said that, so listen here, right? The audience needs to hear you. What do you choose?
I chose to listen.
He chose to stick to his music making arts rather than focus. And I'm saying it for him because I can see the pain. I mean, I can't understand. Let me not say. I understand from a different level because I've done what people consider to be craziness for
Petra,
other
let me
reasons,
tell you something. In 1995, in 1997, I had moved to New York, and that was it for me. I was so frustrated with
what?
With the industry and how things
with not
were.
being able to make a living from what you love.
and realizing, because I remember going into a particular radio station, and speaking to the manager there and telling, we were in the ball then, and speaking to them and telling, listen man, we need to have copyright and we need the station to log the music. And the man ran us out in there. He ran us out in there.
What did he say?
He told us, listen to me carefully. He said, if Short Shirt and Swallow and Burning Flames never come here to me with that discussion, why y'all coming to me at them, y'all two little boys, Bankers and Gavin, come out my station. And it dawned on me then that, wow, we fight in an uphill battle to get this music industry properly standardized.
Did you ever talk to Short Shirt, Short Shirt, Swallow, Flames about these kind of things? Did you ever get
yeah, eventually.
And what did they say?
Not right after, but eventually.
I know, but eventually, yeah. And what did they say? How did they feel about that? Or they weren't particularly paying that any attention at the time?
I don't think the focus was on that at the time, to be honest. But this was what was said to us in no uncertain terms. If the main folks in the industry are not asking about this, why you two little boys coming to me about this? Y'all just come in here, please. We were actually told that. And I realized walking down those stairs in that radio station that, wow, we in a serious battle.
In broad...
And this was about 1997.
Wow.
So I left to go to New York, and I said, I'm done with it. I'm done with Antigua. I can just go.
You took your family with you to New York?
I didn't have a family then. I was still quite young. It's 1997.
Oh, okay. So in very broad
But
terms.
I want to say this.
Sorry, go ahead.
I want to say this. That was when I said, I'm just going to go to university and study music.
Oh, so you went off to university?
Hold on.
Or you left planning to go to university?
I left planning to do that. And this was my plan. I left. I sold everything.
How was the parents feeling at that time?
Probably good.
You didn't have a chat with them? Your mother didn't say anything? Your father probably looked at you, as like you said, but your mother didn't say anything?
No. I mean, she was happy, of course.
Okay.
But then we got a call. I got a call while I was in New York.
While you were in New York?
Hey, bankers call me. Hey, boy, we win a Sunshine. We get nominated for a Sunshine Award, I said, what that? Yeah, boy, better. So bankers came up, and we vibes in, and he started to sing a melody for me. Boy, hear this melody, Gavin. Do you wanna rock some more? Wanna rock some more? Wanna rock some more? I said, what? Boy, that mad. And I said, boy, started thinking about New York, living in New York, and they're getting a call into.
Were you enjoying New York at the time?
I never liked it. But I just felt like there was nothing here. I felt like I couldn't.
Did you start studying?
No, it's lining up everything to start. Okay. And then, boy, the music started. Stop there. Come back home for a couple of weeks and we build this tune. That's what he said in the song, that a lot of people say that the ball had got run and left, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So we came back home and we did it.
I know. You remember the song now? I was a fan,
Do you?
But go ahead.
So,
in the air if you're feeling the feeling. Jump around if you're feeling the feeling. And in the air if you're feeling the feeling. Jump around. Yeah, man. Yeah.
You know the dread. You know the ball.
Yeah.
Back together on the scene again.
Yeah.
Dixon vibes and make it run. Whoa. Anyway.
Yeah.
So basically, got back and I felt that itch. I felt like, shoot, boy, this is definitely what I'm supposed to be doing. And I dropped everything and moved back home. Start over from scratch. Then we did tunes like Roll the Bucket and
I'm curious.
Motorbike and all that.
What was Craig's thoughts on all? Did you and Craig speak about any of this? But
he was always very supportive. He was always very supportive because Craig too had that same itch. You know, he had a Craig. Let me tell you, Craig is a musician at heart. Craig is not really a lawyer. He just can do that.
I'm
And
so
a judge
sorry.
and all them
I was
thing.
trying to catch him before he went into the magistracy and stuff.
Yeah,
so I haven't
but-
caught him. So now I have to wait until he retires from that to bring him here.
Correct. But
Right.
when Craig does finish, as soon as Craig does be and dealing with stuff and sending me music. Boy, I hear this, say, boy, me I wait for a client and hear this melody that just come to me. I say, wow.
You mean he had a client outside the wait, he inside to do music?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and I remember when he wrote My Love. I remember hearing that song because My Love, that same song you just played, was written for bankers. It was actually written for bankers. I went by bankers one night and myself bankers. You remember Lily, guitarist?
Yes.
All of us sitting on there, and Sugar Ray, God bless his soul, and Craig had his box guitar playing, and he was singing. I said, "Wow, that melody sound good, boy." I listened to
Another
it.
time you didn't have the lyrics, you just had the melody.
He just was singing the melody. I said, "What a song, good one!" And it just, how music is, I heard it.
How you come up with these things?
The music lives in you. It's not even come up. It's just there. It's just for you to tap into it. It's always right there, just to find that space. So one of the things that we had issues with too is that trying to cope with living and surviving can also drain you creatively. And that has always been an issue for me. Trying to survive in Antigua because the industry not set up right is creative. Let me explain something to you. Just the other day I had this talk with Claudette. Do you realize that if you have if you have a hit in Antigua and I have a hit in Trinidad or even Barbados or anywhere else, my hit in my country and your hit in Antigua cannot reach don't have the legs
Doesn't
that
reach
mine.
anywhere else.
Right.
Right.
You know why?
Right.
When an Antiguan leaves Antigua and migrates to, let's say, the UK or anywhere in the States, they do not, and I will emphasize this, they do not take their home country with them. They adapt.
A lot of Monique.
They adapt. Tell Monique that. They adapt. Monique, we should listen. They adapt every other culture, Caribbean culture, in the diaspora. When a Jamaican, a Trinidadian, or Bajan, whoever leaves there, they set up radio stations, record shops, hairdresser parlors, restaurants, you name it. Natural gateways for the music to travel. So you can sit down in Barbados and you have a big hit in Barbados for the carnival, crop over. And in September, that song playing in every major West Indian hotspot in the diaspora, in UK, in Canada, anywhere. Here, the song dead on ZDK, and it might reach as far as Hits FM or Point FM, or maybe around the little region around here. It don't have the same legs because we don't have the distribution outlet to give it to.
So you're
You understand the point I'm making?
I'm hearing you, but I want to be sure that I'm following you. So the distribution outlet that is international for many of our islands.
No. We're not talking about no distribution label. We're just talking about
I'm talking about
natural
the
outlet.
The natural extension of Antigua's carnival.
Correct.
Should really be driven by our diaspora.
Correct.
By virtue of the fact that they would have taken their culture with them, and by virtue of the institutions that they would have set up where they now reside.
Correct.
Okay. And you're saying that is done by a lot of our Caribbean islands that we
The Caribbean islands, our neighboring islands, that's how the way they naturally work. When we used to travel a lot in the days of Daban, because most of my traveling days were done in Daban. We traveled the globe with Kevin Little, with whoever, name them. We would always meet the same people over and over. You can ask Onion, you can ask Unko and them, you can ask all these bands that have traveled. It's the same set of promoters you meet running things in Miami, in Atlanta, in Boston, in New York, in London. It's the same Trini, Bajan, Jamaican promoters. That they are privy to the music. They get the music quickly.
So we, Antiguans have to depend on them for
On
our
them.
legs.
Correct. So no, we have. I remember one time we in Miami, and in those days the band was kicking. That was when you had Sleepy, Claudette, and Kenny Blessing
Now
on the
they have
front
a real
line.
band.
You had Sugar Ray on bass, Lily up on the front line and his guitars with them, and Dalton, myself, and Boogie holding on the back end. It was an awesome band. Awesome. It's the best band I've ever played in. Anyway.
Just listen to the names, give me goosebumps.
Yeah, man. So here it is. We played in Hialeah Park racetrack, right? Roger Perry managing the band at the time. We got onto a gig. The promoter, if I'm Petra, this is no lie. The promoter on the set gave us a lot of attitude because he didn't know who we were. So
Right.
we just getting a little blind because Roger pulled a string for us to get on there. Now that nobody knew us.
Roger used his connection.
Used his connection. 'Cause he had enough connection up in the area there. So we got on. The man told us we have 15 minutes to play. Right? So we setting up quick. Y'all not finished setting up yet? Hurry up. Man treat us real rough now. When we started to play Petra. And them days they are know everything out of Bungie, everything for whoever. Bungie was on the show, Alison Hines was on the show. And he didn't realize we knew their music. When we started to play, the man come and I feel Roger touched me on my shoulder and said, Gavin, the man wants us back up, Alison, you can do it. I said, just tell she come. The man wanted, he could touch me again, Gavin, the man wants us back up, Bungie, you can do it. He said, tell he come. The point I'm making is,
So you were originally on the show
just to do like a
just to
15
get
minutes.
like a
We ended up
but
playing over
realizing
an
the
hour.
quality of what you brought to the table, you
And-
ended up being the backup band. Because I realized that you did a lot of backing.
We did a lot of we've done a lot of backing over the years. But the point that I'm making is that they don't know us. I have so many
Got something
stories
got a
to
hold
tell
of
you.
me? Yes, go ahead.
1 year, go back to Dread and the Ballad, 1998, I think. No, 1997. 1997. This is what made me decide, hey, I'm done with it. Let me just go New York. I had a girlfriend in New York at the time. Let me just go and just get married and just done with this whole Antigua music story and just put on 50 pounds and come Antigua every year for summer and stand up on the side and say, okay, and stand up by government house and watch the band and pass. You know how many Antiguans do that? You know how many people from that wish that they and wonder, suppose I'd stayed and made a contribution in the country. You know what I'm saying? There are many, you know how many of your friends left and they come back every summer and they just look on and
They're
say,
happy as far as we know.
yeah,
Right.
the American, they have the green card.
Right.
Actually, I'm the only person in my family that don't have a green
And
card.
they're all critics.
Anyway, I want to say this to you. 1997. Dread and the Ballad is the biggest thing in Barbados. We had a big tune in Hard Work that almost won road march in Barbados. I never played on Antigua radio station. To this day, Antiguans don't know it.
Hard work.
Dread and the Ballad.
Go ahead.
Right? We got a call from David Murray, the cricketer. His brother was the promoter. He said that he wanted Dread and the Ballad and Square One. That time, Alison Hines and Square One was big. They wanted both bands to go to Toronto to do a gig, right? The Consulate General from Barbados was organizing their hotel and the accommodations and food
For everybody? Or
for
just
Barbados.
for the Barbados? Right.
He wanted our Consulate General at the time to do the same thing. Timeline.
Don't scare me.
1997, before Carnival. Who was the Carnival King of Antigua that year?
Isn't that
Bankers won in 1996, so he was still the king.
defending king. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
This was about April. The man called us back and told us that he just spoke to the Antiguan office about it. And
Which
told him
country is this?
Toronto.
Yes, I just want to make sure I'm hearing right.
This is a
Yes.
Bajan promoter calling
Yes, to
our
get you into
Consulate General in
Toronto.
Toronto to tell him that, look, he's bringing up your Antiguan king and what he's bringing it, he wants the two bands to do the show and Square One is getting this and he wants the same. Barbados has promised this and he wants Antigua to promise the same thing. The lady who was the Consulate General at the time told him she does not know who Dread and the Ballad is.
The lady was Antigua?
Yes, but this to tell you how much I'm telling you that when we leave here, we're not in
But that doesn't
connection to
make
here.
any. You know what? You tell your story. Go ahead.
We went to Lester Bird. Marcus and I was so ashamed that we had to go to Lester. Lester Bird told us to come to his house. We went to his house and we said, look, Lester, this is the situation.
You can't have the idea. What happened?
He was really embarrassed about it. And he told us
so
that,
what did he do?
he told us that, he has to fix this kind of situation. We need more involvement in our industry. We need to bridge the industry. It's a tourism product. If Johnny Ball was huge at the time, we went to Toronto, that would bring out a lot of Antiguans. But I'm giving you that scenario to explain to you that there are too many of these kind of things that happen here. So it's not just a one reason why the Antiguan music never was able to really go where it could have gone, right? And I would like to.
Go ahead, sorry.
So I was just saying that basically these are some of the
challenges
that I have faced.
But that is. I'm hurt, and it happened to you so long ago, and
It's
I'm
in
feeling annoyed and
1997.
angry.
And I haven't seen a lot of changes since, and this is
You
why
haven't seen a lot of changes.
I haven't really seen that change. Honestly, maybe I'm blind, but I haven't really seen that.
Speaking of changes, you taught for a while. When you came back home and decided that the music just was gonna have a hold on you. Speaking of hold on you, you had something to do with Something Got a Hold on Me?
That was recorded in my bedroom.
Something Got a Hold on You was recorded where?
It was we started to do it in my bedroom. Yeah.
Is that it? Go ahead. Push it up.
It got me out of control. Watch me where I go. Watch me get on bad man and winding out of control. Oh, move to and fro. Oh, people think I'm mad and they think I'm drunk because music got me go crazy. Got me body getting out of control. Something got a hold on me and I feel it already. Something got a hold on me. Yes, I whine it. Hold on me. It's the music. Something got a hold on me. Watch me waistline go. Watch me get on bad man and whining out of control. Oh, moving to and fro. People think I'm mad and they think I'm drunk. They don't know. Watch me waistline go. Watch me get on whining cause something got a hold on me and I'm feeling the rhythm. Something got a hold on me. I'm whining, I'm whining.
Ladies and gentlemen, you noticed, those of you who are watching us on social media, you noticed we had to come off camera, right? Because Gavin dancing, that was good. Gavin was dancing. The dancing, yeah, for those of you who know Petra, you know who was dancing. But
Yeah,
no,
you know
man,
me
you
on a
can't
dance,
hear them kind of music, them bass line, man. Y'all did some work in that music. You know that will never die. So are you telling me that you, Gavin, and the team that arranged that song, the writer who wrote the song,
Sleepy Mervyn
so
Edwards.
Sleepy wrote that song, Claudette sang that song. None of y'all making any money from that song in Antigua?
Not from Antigua. The royalties that the song is bringing in.
It's from
they come
around the region.
From the airplane in the region.
Well, they would say you're satisfied. Anyways, now you raised a number of issues that I think would ably be in the domain in terms of resolution of culture and festivals. I mean, the diaspora ones would be a challenge, but especially talking about things like integrating with our overseas offices and that kind of stuff. What are your views on where we have gone in terms of our departments of culture, our carnival development committee, now festivals commission?
Okay, that's a very
Or you
important
want to
question.
split them?
I
Do
can-
culture by itself, or you can just.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So let's do culture first.
Okay. No, let's actually put them together
Pull them together. Your boss,
because
they should be together.
they should be together.
Okay.
There is no way. There is, and this is my very, very strong opinion. There is no way that you should have a festivals commission operating separately and independently from your cultural department. It is absolute nonsense and craziness. And I have been a part of those two entities and at the same time.
You have served as Deputy Director of Culture.
While I was on the board of
And
festivals.
you were on the board of festivals. What was the distinction in your duties?
It was absolute chaos, and I resigned from it.
Just, not the nitty gritty, but give an
No,
overview of the
no.
challenges.
The challenge is both departments has a mandate.
One to develop the
One
art,
to develop
the
and one to showcase.
Right, so then that should be easy to separate.
On paper, when you bring personalities involved, and this is where Antigua falls down over and over and will continue to fall down. Personalities always it's to be more important than the content. Yeah, you hear me?
You know I have to do it, right? Because I've been involved. So
I'm saying to you again, personalities in this. I have to do a lot of listening for this because it actually wears my soul because of all that we've been through to come to have to deal with this fight. It's absolutely something that I walked away from.
But you would have brought to the table your experience as a various experience along the way and the shortcomings that you would have experienced. How did those experiences help to fuse the policy and execution?
Okay, do you want me you want me to answer you nicely and
Yeah, but
no.
Yeah, but the 9th of July. Let it rip.
So I'm gonna answer you frankly, honestly,
yeah, let it rip.
And what I have experienced when I was on boat, when I was serving in boat capacity, I had a lot of disappointments because for me, when I got called to boat capacities, I was extremely happy because I felt like I could go there to make a difference in the capacity of let's touch culture first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be frank with you. Culture can never work properly until we remove it from the hands so directly of any government minister.
But isn't it under the direction of the director?
The government ministers need to let the technicians and the technical people guide the process.
Heard of it again?
Okay.
I just asked. Yeah, go ahead.
But my point is, that's why I removed myself from the expectation of that, because I had so many expectations, and to be done that way, to be told.
I have to call you on that.
Okay.
Before you got into those two positions,
that was what
you would have been interacting with everybody in every level. You interact with everybody in every level. So don't tell me you didn't see this coming.
Hoping that I would have been able to make a difference. And
so why were you not able to make a difference?
Because I was told that this is how it works. I was bluntly told that this is how it works.
Okay. All right. Okay.
And I had to understand that the powers that be and the system that I met in place, I could not change it. I wasn't prepared to fight for it.
So
because let me tell you why. Because I started to get sick.
True.
Really get sick trying to deal with it.
So what would you change, Gavin?
I would use the Trinidad model.
Which is?
You run the whole plant as a statutory body. As a statutory body, you got to remove it from such. But in Antigua, statutory bodies are not far removed from ministers either. You know that, right? You know in Antigua, statutory bodies are not far removed from ministers. In Antigua.
So are you saying that we would definitely have to adjust the structure?
It needs a lot of adjusting. And let me say this to you too. Another thing that I would have done is to put Festivals Commission as a part or arm of culture. See, like how culture has a drama section and a art section or whatever. Let put a section in culture that deals with creating festivals.
That was what it was. That
Initially.
was originally
Correct.
the raison d'etre.
But that's not what it morphed into.
Because the people who ran carnival and ran festivals were larger than life. So
Exactly.
they had to
This
give
larger
their own
than life
space.
mentality really crippled, and it has been crippling and will continue to cripple the carnival product until we understand that culture is bigger than all of us. Let me say this. Boom. There's no way that there's no way that you can give festivals, allocate more monies to festival to the wait, listen to me carefully, because when I speak about this I get very upset. There is no way. It is totally crazy, and I'm hoping that the people who run this country are listening to me. There is no way that the Festivals Commission can be allocated more money than the Cultural Department that is developing your artists and your artistry. It is craziness.
But
Because
the
you're just
prize money,
showcasing
the
overseas
stage, the
talent.
sound- Oh dear, say that again.
Because you are going to continue to showcase overseas talent. The lion's share of the money is going to continue going out of this country because you are not putting the money into development. I feel sorry for people like Can Cardis who have so much that they want to offer.
Yeah, but they will deal with Can, because Can looms large internationally, so he might quote unquote get lucky. And
It's not a one-off situation.
No, I agree with you.
We have to change the way listen to this radio station. Listening.
Here is the question for you. You're saying that they should not spend more on festival, the national festival, than they spend on culture.
I'm saying.
But hold on. But the argument is that without the imported artists, we have no festival. We have no crowds. I'm telling you what is said.
So then we need to spend that downtime, if it takes us for a couple of years, to create in-house superstars.
Who's interested in that? You, clearly. But who else?
The
Which
few-
policymaker? I have heard policymakers come on this very station that we're sitting on and others and see that the product that is being put out by our soca artists and by our calypsonians is not up to international thing. It can't hold anybody. It can't bring it. Calypso was moved because Calypso could no longer bring a crowd to ARG. Are you saying that we should spend the money grooming more calypsonians, spending on the sound and the writing and all of that?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Ain't nobody have time for that, dude.
Well, then why? So then why we don't lock down the cultural department? Why we don't close it? If we don't have no time for it, then close it.
Okay, so we're almost out of time. We're stealing a few minutes. Sorry, we have to steal.
Close the department
This is good.
because nobody have no time for it. So close it.
No, but the culture department works. But I'm not sure. Well,
Listen,
I
the
have
cultural
hopes
dep-
now. I'm seeing glimmers of hope that we may start to head in the direction that we want to go. So if you were to have a role in setting policy, I'm not sending you back there to work, but if you had to set policy between culture and festivals and where we go, what would be the two most important things you'd want to see done?
Two most important things is to remove the festivals commission as it stands now and bring it on an umbrella in culture.
So let culture be the lead.
Let
and
culture,
festivals
of
be one
course,
component.
because you are planning festivals around the culture of Antigua. That was the way it was originally set up.
And what would you do?
So then in that way, you force the cultural department to step up its game and create superstars. Mold them so in a year or 2 or 3 you have a ton of superstars, so you don't have to be spending monies to bring in overseas superstars.
So what would you do with festivals while culture is working on that development component? What then would you do with our national festival that has like melting pot and we bring in artists for
There's
many
so
of the
many
shows and
creative
so on?
things that I don't know all the answers in the picture.
I know, but I'm just
know
saying.
There's so many creative things that we could do.
So you're saying we should go back to the drawing board?
We have to go back to the drawing board. It's not working. You're just spending a ton of money stupidly. And I'm saying this as Gavin. The money is not being sensibly allocated. You cannot tell me that you're spending most of your money showcasing people, melting pot and all. How many local artists are making?
Plenty go on melting pot. How much they get paid? But they put plenty artists.
But the lion's share of the money is staying is in our artists.
We know how that goes. No, of course not. We know that. 2 quick questions. You mentioned earlier about the fact that we don't have that network out there that helps to turn our music over. Knowing that we don't have that across the diaspora, do you think there's anything we can do from Antigua to stimulate further windows for our music to get out there?
There are ways. I mean, it would take creative ways, because the way it is now, it would take a lot of planning and strategic opportunities. But there are ways but it's something that we need to look at. We need to look at how do we funnel our artists through those doors, those windows, because the windows exist. They exist, but we're not utilizing it. So there are creative ways that we could all sit together. It's not just me trying to figure things out, but it's a collective. We'd have to realize, hey, this exists, and maybe we could look at tapping into this. Maybe we could use the tourism plan to help us, or whoever. There's a lot of different ways to export the music.
So what's the problem? Why are we not even off the starting line?
I think that we just don't see it. We just don't see it, because we are so accustomed to it working one way, and we have resigned ourselves to say that this is how it is, and this is what happens. And we have become complacent with that. And Petra, these are the things that hold Antigua music back. These are some of the things.
So with all these things, Gavin, that you have mentioned that are holding us back, and I am a young artist with all the hopes and dreams that you had when you were 15, 16, 17, 18, going through 20, what would you say to encourage those persons, despite all of the challenges that you have listed today, to forge ahead?
I would say to the younger folks, don't give up on your dream. Continue working on your craft. Better days are ahead, and things are happening. The younger folks now have the internet, which is very, very, very critical in exposure. So you find that a lot of younger artists are able to expose themselves without having these natural gateways.
Okay.
Right? Because of the fact that there is this option of being promoted via social media.
Right.
I would tell them that I don't come here to sound like doom and gloom.
Oh no, you shared a lot of fun times, rest assured.
Yeah, I don't, but these are issues that still continue to plague us, and even with the internet, we can still use these gateways. We still can set up things differently. We still have to realize that if you have $10 to share in culture as your budget, you have to look at the disparity that you're going to share that $10, that it makes sense across the whole cultural plan.
It all to bring in too far artists.
You can't tell me that your budget is $10 and $6 or $7 of that going into showcasing. And then when Canon them and so on workshop, because this is what I was faced with. I was faced with coming to the board and saying, I need monies for a workshop. I want to bring a man from Dominica to come and teach Antiguans how to deal with copyrighted or very pertinent issues, and they're telling me they don't have no money. And then you're telling me you're bringing Shaggy, and you're bringing Marshall, and you're bringing this, and you're bringing that.
But the people of Antigua and Barbuda, in large, wants to see Shaggy and Marshall and everybody.
To the detriment of the creative arts. The creative arts done not getting coverage, and you're still the little money that coming in through the cultural arm. It's still going. Most of it's still going foreign. It makes no sense. So you know what Gavin did? Thank
You
you for the
done?
time.
Oh, for that.
And
But what about music? Are you done with music?
no man, at all. But
where
I'm
we
done
find
with
Gavin
trying to fix the problems in Antigua because I found that was just only making me feel sick.
So where do we find Gavin today in music?
I just chilling. I play when I feel like. I go into my studio and record when I feel like,
Sorry.
and just spend a lot of time under the bridge, just watching, just observing, and I'm still recording. I'm still having a lot of fun doing production, but I have now come to understand. When you get older, you kind of move differently. I've come to understand that.
Sorry, I'm putting it in my shirt, so I'm not doing anything to you.
No man, no. But so today, so today, come to a place of acceptance. I no longer am willing to fight to fix anything here. It will fix when it's supposed to be fixed. I've accepted that.
You're leaving it for the next generation.
Well, if it's what I can tell about the next generation is that they ain't gonna put up with the things that we put up with,
The signs are clear.
for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, you wouldn't believe it. We had at least 2 other little issues. We had 2 other 15 minutes, I think, that we would have loved to have with Gavin. But our interview today, our discussions today with Gavin Omar Christopher is at an end. I think it was an awesome... I want to thank you, Gavin. Happy birthday. You know what I forget to tell them? Gavin is about 15 years now. We're supposed to have this birthday party.
Yeah.
It's about 15 years.
Yeah.
Gavin and I planning this birthday party. I bring in the food, he bring in the music, and we're going to done the place. I going to dance for both of us.
Let's do it.
You hear
Let's
this?
do it.
You hear this? You hear you? All right, fine. Guess what? So, ladies and gentlemen, Gavin and I will be streaming our birthday party live next Thursday.
Next Thursday?
You never know when your
Wow.
birthday.
I don't even remember boy.
Sure.
Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to We're the Ones with Petra Williams. My guest today, the first song that we played for him, the international one, I remember. Yes, we're going to do that one to go out. You have been listening to We're the Ones with Petra Williams. My guest today was the awesome musician. He taught my son music for a spell. Gavin Christopher. He taught him privately and at St. Anthony's, remember?
St. Anthony's, yep.
Yes.
Good old sass.
Yes, we didn't even get to delve into your teaching career. But I want to thank all of you, listening and viewing audience, for joining us today. I hope that you got something out of today, a bit of our culture, a bit of the enrichment from Gavin. He spoke about a lot of policy issues and he shared a lot of his life story with us. I hope he would have inspired some young people to continue to pursue their dreams. And from all of us at Point FM, I want to wish him a happy birthday when it comes around next week. I hope he lives long and prosper, lives to see 75 plus. And we wish him the very best. He's one of our cultural icons and ambassadors that I think we take for granted. And on that note, I say nothing further. I take you out with perhaps his most well-known arrangement. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Petra Williams from We're the Ones, signing out.
It's passion. Give me. Alright. I love to feel